And welcome back to the Exodus Entrepreneurs YouTube channel. If you're new here and don't know who I am, I'm Esther, or ER. I'm a 16-year-old Christian author, writer, entrepreneur, and a bunch of other things. I run Exodus Entrepreneurs, Northbound Books, and Words by ER. You can find more about me on my website, wordsbyerware.com, and I'll leave all those links below. If you're new to Exodus Entrepreneurs in general, we are a group of teenage entrepreneurs, teenage and young adult, and our mission is to leave low expectations for light, truth, and God-glorifying business success. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure you subscribe, follow us on Exodus Entrepreneurs on Facebook, on YouTube, on Substack, on Instagram, and you can also check out our website, exodusentrepreneurs.com, and follow us on our podcast. We're on Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, YouTube, all the different places as the Exodus Entrepreneurs podcast, so make sure to go and check us out there. Anyway, today we're going to be looking at something so exciting. We're going to be talking all about branding, and I'm also going to give you a demonstration. We're going to do like the start to finish process of creating a brand. I'm going to do it for an example brand, and we're going to get into all of that, so I'm really excited about doing that. Let's get started. Okay, so first of all, a little recap on what branding actually is. If you haven't listened to our Exodus Entrepreneurs podcast, go and check out our latest episode, Branding 101. I talk all about like different kinds of branding, different kind of things, and today we're going to be looking at specifically some of those things I talked about in the video. Today we're actually going to be doing the actual design process. So I'm going to be doing it on Canva today. I normally use Adobe Illustrator and a couple of different programs, but Canva's great because it's free and cheap and affordable and all of the other great things that come with it. It is slightly less, it's so much easier to use than Adobe stuff, which is great, and it does a good job for the most part as well, which is of course wonderful. So I'm really excited to get into that. We're going to start by actually just creating a sample brand and then just moving on with it as we go. So yeah, let's get started in all of that. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to pop straight into Canva. This is my preference for where to start with. Wait, where's me? There I am. Hi. I'm going to pop me there so that I've got myself. It's a little bit blurry, but I think we're working with it. So we are going to start off with Canva, and I'm actually going to go into brand. Now, if you don't have Canva Pro or Canva Business, do not worry, you do not need it. I just use Canva Pro. I use Canva Business, and I really enjoy it, so I'm using that, but you don't need to. If you do have Canva Pro, make use of it, but don't worry otherwise. So we're going to go into brand kits, and I'm just going to press create a new brand kit. We're going to name this one. I'm going to do, basically for the instance of this video, we are going to be doing a little mock-up business. So I think we're going to go with like a seashell jewellery necklace company kind of thing. So we're going to go with that. Let me pop a name in. So let's do like, I think we're going to name it like Lost Treasure Co. or something like that. Obviously, just put your own version into it as you will. Go click create and let this come through. Okay, this is what we have to start with. Canva will create an option where you can put your website straight in or upload your guidelines and AI will sort it out for you. I'm not a fan of doing that. Okay, so I've got into all of the brand kit here. I'll just give you a little, so you've got your guidelines here. You can put your brand guidelines in here. It tells you about your story, values, etc. I'm just going to quickly run through what we're actually going to be looking at today. So today we're going to be looking at your actual brand logo. We're going to be looking at actually designing a brand logo, but also doing a word mark, a brand mark. I'm going to put up the examples here. So we've got actual primary logo. Then we've got like a brand mark, which is like a slightly more simple one. Then we have a secondary version of the logo, and these come in all of the different brand colours that you're going to choose. Then we've also got fonts, we've got colours, fonts, backgrounds, like a little pattern design kind of thing, which I'll chuck up here as well. I'll use all my examples for Words by ER so you can see them. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. We've also got a word mark in there as well. So let's get started on that. We're going to start with the primary logo because then we can kind of work off those things. But in fact, before the primary logo, we'll start on I like to do fonts, colours, and then kind of get an idea from there. So I'm going to show you my whole design process. Let's get started. This is obviously just my experience, my personal experience designing logos, and this is how I found it, how I've enjoyed it. So yeah, let's get started, and if this doesn't work for you, that's completely fine. But yeah, I hope this gives you some kind of insight into the process and what you could potentially utilise for your website and your branding and what you do. Okay, so hopping back into Canva here, the first thing I'm going to do is get started on colours. I'm just going to quickly run through these for you guys. So you've got your brand templates, your guidelines. You don't really need to focus on these. The main ones you're going to want to focus on is logos. You're going to keep all your logos here. but only if you have Canva Pro. If you don't have Canva Pro, don't worry about it. What I do alternatively is I grab a WhatsApp group or a page in my notes, wherever you want to put it, somewhere online, and what you're going to do is you're going to put all your social media bios, you're going to put all of your logo options, you're going to put all your word marks, all your font choices, all in one place. So you can copy and paste them wherever you want. If you want, you can pin them to the clipboard, you can literally do whatever you want to do to make it work. I use Canva just because I use it quite a lot for graphic design, and so because of that it works well for me. So yeah, if you are using Canva Business, great. If not, just find another option where doing it with yourself through like a WhatsApp group or something works really well as well. I do that sometimes. So we've got logos, colours. You can keep all your colours here. You are going to want to keep note of your hex codes for all of your colours. Do not lose them. It is a bit of a nightmare otherwise. Also fonts. Fonts is really important. And then try and keep hold of brand voice. If you want to add like your brand voice, this is a great place to do it, as well as photos. So these are all of the different kind of things you're going to want. For this example today, I'm going to be using all of the Canva's stock photos. Obviously this is a fake business that I'm just making up, Lost Treasure Co. We're just going to go with it and see where it goes. Okay. So let's get started with actually creating the logo. So what I first do is, you can do this whether you're on the free Canva plan or not. You're going to head to this create button up there. If you don't already have a Canva account, whip through and quickly make one. And we're going to go logo. There are a lot of free options. Gosh, my typing today. There are a lot of, so you can use Canva free. You don't have to pay for Canva Pro or Canva Business. I just pay for it because I prefer the more flexibility, but there are a lot of options even if you just do the free one. So I would start with the free one and then decide if you want to move up. So we're going to click the logo option. This is what I use whenever I'm brainstorming my logo designs. I'm going to pull you over there. So this is logged in. I'm just going to pop that there, and let's just pop a name in for this. So let's do, where have I put it there? Lost Treasure Co. Logo. Okay, there we go. So that's kind of what we've got here. The first thing I like to do is, first of all, to actually start off with your colour. I think colours are really, really important. So we're going to do this here. In fact, once you've got your logo page set up, what I like to do is then go home and create another design, but you're just going to search for whiteboard this time. This is where I like to play around with stuff before we get set up on your actual logo design. This is just a personal choice. I just find it works really well for me personally, to do different things. So I'm going to pull you down. Okay, I'm going to duck out of the camera for a minute so I can just talk. But here is the Canva whiteboard. You can just kind of move around. It's massive. It goes on forever. Like, you can zoom out as much as you want. You can zoom in as much as you want. It's always going to be exactly the same because it's a massive board. We are going to explore some colours for this one. Treasure Co. So I'm going to be on the whiteboard. What I like to do is to first of all write the name of the brand, Lost Treasure Co. Excuse my messy handwriting. And then what I like to do is start playing around with some font colours, with some different logo designs. You can actually go on to templates here. You can search whiteboard templates and see whether they've got any logo ones. Canva does have a lot of templates you can utilise. Kind of gives you some ideas of a brand mood board. So this is kind of the thing we're looking at doing here. What we're going to start off with doing is, I like to grab a rectangle. There's one there. Wonderful. This is obviously not a rectangle shape, so I do not know why they label it as a rectangle. I'm just going to move this up here, and we're just going to create like a colour mood board kind of thing. Oh, that's why they call it a rectangle, but I'm going to go with a square. And we're just going to create 3 of these. Hit that duplicate button, and I'm going to do 3. Now, my personal preference when it comes to doing a colour palette is 3 colours. 2 primary colours and then a secondary colour. And I think because Lost Treasure Co., it kind of is like a beachy seashell kind of theme. So I think we're going to go with more like blues, yellows, and maybe a coral pink is what I'm thinking. And we're going to change the brand kit because obviously I'm on the wrong one. So Lost Treasure Co. is here for the brand kit. We're going to go into default solid colours because this kind of gives you an option. I like the lilac. I think that's quite cute. What are we looking for? Let's go with a blue in here. I'm basically just playing around with some really basic versions of the colour scheme that I'm thinking might potentially work, because this kind of gives me a really good example and idea of kind of what I'm looking at. Now, these are the kind of colours I'm imagining in my head when I think Lost Treasure Co. Obviously, this is a fake business, but if I was for example, actually doing this as a business, these would be the colours that I'm doing. And obviously in this instance, I want to pretend that I am doing it as a business so you guys can see what it is. I'm just going to group these words and just change the colour of this to see how it looks in a different colour. 1 second. Quite like these colours a lot, actually. We're going to go with black for a minute. Okay, so this is kind of like the colour frame that I'm looking at the minute. I am going to edit these because I'm not 100% happy with them. This kind of process is literally where you just get to take a step back and just go, okay, what do I like, what do I not like, kind of thing. So it's quite a lot of fun. Have fun with it, enjoy it, see what you like, see what you don't like, and just play around with it for a bit. That's probably my most advice that I'm gonna give you on this one, because it literally does depend on your brand. I would say being careful when you are designing these color wise. You are going to want to make sure you're thinking about a few different things. You're going to want to be thinking about the color scheme and how it's going to reflect on your brand. So if you're a roller skating disco rink, you're going to probably want some hot pink, more like retro neons and different colors. Whereas if you're a skincare gentle beauty brand, you're not going to want those hot pink colours, because it's going to throw people off and they're like, well, this is all natural, but natural doesn't look like hot pink to me. So have a little look around at different brand things. And I'm actually going to show you right now one thing that I do when I'm designing logos, and I'll show you it now. Basically, what I do, I'm going to pop in here. I head to Pinterest, and on my Pinterest, I will go into my Pinterest boards, and I have here author logos. Now I have a bunch of different logos in these boards. You can actually find them on my Pinterest profile if you want to take a look at them. But I basically search for whatever logo I'm doing. So for this one, it'd be like seashell necklace logo. In fact, we might do that in just a moment. And I would put them all in a board, because it gives you some inspiration, because you want to stick inside the genre that it is so that people know what they're looking at, if that makes sense. But you also want to stand out. So for example, my original author logo that you can see here is this one here. That was my original one that I started with, and I recently did a new rebrand, and this is my new one alongside. There's another one somewhere, this one. These are the two colour options of them, and as you can see, they still fit in with the design, but I personally think they stand out a lot more than the others do. So that's kind of my process when it comes to creating these kind of things. And I will do the same thing actually here. If we go to the search bar here, we could search for seashell necklace jewelry logo, and see whether stuff comes up. So these are the kind of things that we're seeing here. This little Seaside Designs jewelry, this brand thing. So we're seeing a lot of seashells, which is cool. I'm liking that, but quite simplistic, like seaside colours. So yeah, that's kind of part of my process. So we'll head back into Canva now, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight to this. What I would do here if I was creating this Lost Treasure Co brand, I would be putting all of these into a Pinterest board, and then I'd be dropping the drafts of the logo that I design into there to see how they compare. Okay, so back into Canva. We are back in the whiteboard here, and we're going to now play around. I'm quite happy with these colours that we've got here. So the next thing to do is to be playing around with some different fonts and also some photos, because we're going to want to create a mood board kind of thing going on here. I might adjust these colours a little bit more. Let's see. I'm going to duck off so you can just see, you can focus on what we're actually seeing. So basically here, I'm quite happy with these colours, to be quite honest. I'm quite a big fan of this. I am going to add my brand colours in here. We're going to be adding that one, and we're going to add this one. There we go. Done. And we're going to add this one as well. I don't know if that's exactly... Yeah, it is. So these are the colours that I'm popping into the Lost Treasure brand colours. And to find them, if you are using Canva, you can just hop into any colour bit and you'll see the colour palette right there. I am really happy with that, I will be honest. I think that works really well with like the seashell theme. Some more, like, you can add more colours. I prefer to keep it simpler, but some people will work better with more. I would say you probably do want more than 3. I tend to use 3, 4, 5 colours, but I always like to start with 3, and then I'll do variations of these here. Of course, white and black don't count in my opinion, so I'll be adding those as well, but those are the ones that we're going to start with for the moment. Now, if we come over here, in fact, I'm just going to change this colour because it's throwing me off. Oh, look at that. So lovely. If we're going to come over here, we're just going to start looking at some different elements because we were going to want to put some photos in there to kind of give you kind of an idea for the actual board itself and what we're going to want to put in there. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to use Canva's graphic design images. If you have Pinterest images, you can use those as well. If you've got stuff on Pinterest that you've got ideas for. The only word of warning I have with Pinterest, and I know this is frustrating because Pinterest is a great place to get images. You have to be very careful because the legal rules around Pinterest is a very grey area, and it's technically not really legal. So I would not be doing it personally. I don't use Pinterest images for anything outside of Pinterest. I literally use it for my Pinterest boards that stay in Pinterest. They do not go anywhere else. So that is what I use Pinterest for. So just in case you were thinking of that, just be careful. Obviously, using it for private use is generally okay. You do have to check the rules. Don't quote me on that. Go and check for yourself because they do change the rules sometimes. But I use Canva Pro because then I pay for the images that are on Canva Pro instead, so I don't have to worry about those. If you have your own images, even better. But we're just going to go for a seashell necklace. Okay. Necklac. Oh, my spelling today. Okay, we're going to have a look through here and find some. Okie dokie, so that is what we have currently at the moment. So I'm quite happy with this. As you can see, I have a bunch of photos that I've just grabbed from Canva. This is kind of like the, I guess if I was starting a business, the mood board kind of thing for this particular brand, this particular company. And I mean, they can all be adjusted and moved in. I wanted to keep it kind of quite informal and slightly messy because I think that was kind of part of the vibe of the brand, if you get what I mean. So we have a bunch of these. I love these photos. So these are the kind of photos where if you have to check the licensing on Canva, but if the licensing is okay, these are the kind of photos that you're going to want to be using on like your social media and keep hold of for like future inspiration. It's always best to use your own photos, but if you haven't got them, then check the licensing for different companies. Now, the only thing is, looking at these things, I'm feeling like the colours are a little bit too dull. This is what happens sometimes. That's the whole point of creating a mood board, is that you realise, okay, I actually wanted to kind of like swap the colours that we've got going on here, which is the whole point. It is a good thing, and I'm pleased that I've come to that. Oh my goodness, okay, hang on a second. I'm pleased that it has come to that because it means that I'm testing my capabilities a little bit further and just making sure I'm getting something that I'm really happy with at the end of the day. And again, it's zooming in. Okay, let me pop these up here and then we're going to get started. Okay, so excuse the size of these boxes. I know they're all uneven, but we're going to get started with these and just kind of have a little play around with some darker colours. Now, I'm feeling this kind of colour could be quite nice. I'm just going to start by darkening all of them and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, so at this point we're actually almost ready to get started with the logo. We've got our inspiration photos right here. We've got kind of our title, we've got our colours. I'm actually very happy with these colours. I might end up changing them a little bit in the future, but for the moment I'm really happy with them. And you can see here I've put them in the colour palette as well here, so we've got all of those there. The really important thing to do with these is to make sure that you are actually certain of what the actual hex code is for these. You're going to want to keep the hex code with you at the respective times. You can find the hex code just here on Canva. Whenever you go into a colour, say you go into this one here, pick the colour and hit it again and you'll get you can change it to a gradient, you can adjust the colour itself, you can get, whatever you need to get, you can get it right there. So I would definitely do that. Obviously, if you're using the Canva brand kit, you've got it here. You can keep it here and you can switch between whichever brand kits you want to use. But yeah, that is kind of what we're doing here. We've got the whole inspiration at the moment right here. So the last thing that I like to do before starting on the logo, this is all before, is just come over here and pop some font options in. So we're going to head to text and I'm going to grab some fonts and then show you what I've got. Oh, and the last thing that I forgot to mention is I also like to come up, if you haven't already got your tagline, get your tagline. Get some kind of tagline that you're going to use. and get started with it. Write something about it, do something with it. For Lost Treasure Co, it's going to be like something a bit more, I think we're going to go with jewellery as precious as you. But yeah, get a tagline because you're going to need to use it. Okay, we have got some fonts done, so excuse my messy handwriting for this bit here. I do not know what I was doing with this, but I put it there. We've got a nice little subtitle. So with fonts, you're going to want your heading font, and then you're going to want your subtitle font, and I like to have a third one in there as well, but I've just done 2 for this example, and I like to do 3 different options to choose from. So we've got Lost Treasure Co, and then obviously the tagline, which is jewellery as precious as you. Very cringy, but I really like it. So, and anyway, it's fake anyway, so no one cares. So basically what I've got here is 2 different options. The first one is obviously your title thing of your logo, and as long as it's readable, you can kind of go free rein on this. You want to keep it like, when you're choosing fonts, you do want them to be applicable. When I see something like this, I'm thinking something girly, something, it kind of gives me like the whole beachy, mermaidy kind of thoughts, which is exactly what you want with a company where it's selling jewellery that's made from seashells on the beach. So it's kind of exactly what you want. However, if this is your font, if this one here is your font, and you are a gaming YouTube channel and that's your logo for your gaming YouTube channel, I think it's unlikely. I'm talking like if that's your Minecraft YouTube channel logo font, I think you're going to have some issues. I think you're not going to attract the right people. So yeah, that's just my personal take on it, is that you do need to watch when it comes to fonts, because they do, everything you see visually impacts the way you're going to think about that brand. So you want to make sure that it's all very applicable. You have to be quite stern with it, and make sure that you are thinking like those kind of things. With the colours, for example, for this one, the colours all do kind of line up with those same colours that we've got in the photos as well. So that is quite important. Now, I will say with your subtitle and your tagline font, make it readable, because sometimes you can end up with a really curly one for the first one, which is fine, but make sure it's very different, but still applicable. So I'm actually going to choose my fonts that I want for this particular one. I'm going to go with this one, and I'm going to go with this one. So this first combination is my favourite out of all of them. So those are the ones that I'm going to save to the brand kit. If you haven't been on Canva before and you are going to be using the brand kit, let me just show you how you can add them. So you're just going to hit the brand kit over here, and you're going to go down to fonts, press add fonts, and then for your title you're going to choose a font. I'm going to have to remember the one that I used for this one. Let me see, recently used. No, I'm going to have to search for it. 1 second. Rumba. Choose font, and then you can just search for it, and it will pop up. And the reason why I do this before, I'll explain it in a little bit, but the reason why I do this, you want to do a whiteboard or some kind of, whether you do it on post-it notes on the wall, do it before you start designing your actual logo, because it makes stuff so much easier when you already know the colours, you already know the font, the colour scheme, and all of that. It just does make life a lot easier. This one is Pacific North. Let's choose a font. Oh, it's down here. Pacific Northwest. There we go, and we're going to hit save. And those are the ones that I'm going to save for now. I can always come back and do more of this later, because you're always going to have this lovely nice mood board here. We've already got the colours in our brand kit. If we look, colours, they're all here, but you can't see them because you're on the whiteboard at the moment. Okay, so I'm all done with that. What we're going to do next is it's finally time to actually start doing the logo. So what we're going to do is, we've got all of this here. If we need it, you can screenshot it if you want, whatever you want to do. I'm going to move out the way so you can actually see it. Next thing to do is actually go into our logo. So hit the home file at the top there, and get out of this and go straight into your home, and then grab your most recent work of art, which is the one that we created earlier. It will probably be untitled because I don't remember titling it, but it will be here somewhere. No, see, that's me clicking the wrong one. Okay, we're in the right one, and now it's just loading. Here we are. We've got it. We've got it. We're in. Rejoice, be merry. Okay, this is what we've got going on here. I'm going to show you like the first steps to starting with any logo. What I always like to do is, because you're already in a logo one, it's going to come up with the template option here on the side. And we've got recently used, and I was playing around with different ideas, and I quite like this badge logo here. So I'm actually going to pop it straight in because I want to keep this one in here because for inspiration. And you're actually going to see some of these kind of inspiration here, which are pretty handy. Kind of gives you some ideas for different different settings. So basically, when you start a logo, I always like to go through on the Canva templates and just have a little look at inspiration. I never use their exact logos, okay? Not without some serious editing. Bear in mind, obviously, the logo that I'm doing here is not going to be a finished logo. It's probably not going to be one that I would recommend anyone buy off me and use or anything like that. But it is one. So this is one option for a logo, and then something slightly less. I always like to do a more complicated one and then one slightly less complicated. So these two are both beachy themed. I'm going to use this as an example for a second. These are both beachy themed logos, right? You can see both of these quite beachy. You can tell they're beachy without a problem. But both of them convey a very different feeling, a very different atmosphere. They both give you very different imagery in your mind when you're thinking about these. This one, you're probably thinking more of like more of a surfing, more of a relaxed, maybe a little bit retro, or like childish, slightly more fun, energetic club. This one, you're looking more of like a sophisticated lounge where you're out on the beach sipping whatever you sip on the beach. That's probably going to be the more of the feeling you're going to get from this. So this is why visual imagery and branding is so important in branding, is that you could be using this logo for a beach restaurant that's actually very posh, and you're going to be giving everyone the wrong ideas because the surfers are going to be coming in and wanting to order, I don't know what surfers order anymore, surf and turf. I don't know what the meal is called that they would order. And you're like, no, we only do steak or whatever it is. So yeah, steak and lobster. I don't think you even buy lobster. Do you? Gosh, I don't go to the beach very much. Yeah, that is kind of the importance of visual imagery. Now for this one, because if we actually hit in our brand kit here, we can have a look at our colours and our fonts. We've got our fonts in here, as I said before. You can see all of these. Because we've already got them here, we kind of already know what we're doing, and I think it's more playful, so we're going to get rid of this background here. And I'm going to duck my face away so that you can actually see the full screen. Okay, I really like the idea of a badge icon here. Now when it comes to logos, there are so many different types you can do. In fact, I might just pull up a couple different kinds for you guys just now. These are mostly badge logos. Nothing wrong with that, but these are often the ones that you end up doing. Now you've got more word related logos like this one here. Nothing wrong with that either. You've got initial related logos, you've got more badge logos. Those are often end up being quite popular. All of these are for different instances. None of them are right, none of them are wrong, but they are going to attract different buyers, and you're going to want to make sure that they are applicable to what you're doing. That was just my little speech for you guys, so that you know what's going through my head, whether or not you wanted to. Now you do. Okay, my first step with all of this is to choose a logo that I think I like the inspiration from Canva. So I use that one. You could also upload a Pinterest photo of a logo that you like the inspiration from. Do not steal it. Just have a look at it and go, okay, this for me is more about me going, okay, I like the badge icon. I think that's the style that's going to work best for this. It's not about anything else on it particularly. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say just quickly there, so you guys know. I'm actually going to get rid of this one because I know what this looks like, and I know what I'm looking at, and I do not want to get people confused. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 3 pages, and what I do with each one is I put a different background colour on each one from the colour palette you've already chosen. If you've got 5, you can go in with 5, but I would say choose your 3 main colour images and go with those. Now I'm still happy with them, which is good. Sometimes you just have to zoom out for a second and just go, yeah, okay, I'm still happy with them. Great, that's good. You don't want to change your mind halfway through. Okay, we're going to start on this one here, and I always like to start with a little bit of text. I think it's just simple, it's easy. We're going to start with a title and a subtitle, so you've got both of them available. Let's go in here. Why is it so ridiculously small? Subtitle, we'll make that bigger. Okay, we start by making it bigger if yours is for some reason really small. 1 second. Okay, there we go. So start by getting some words on there, because you are going to for your primary logo, this is the one we're going to start with, is going to be your main logo. You're going to have a bit more information on it. You're going to have the title, you're going to have the subtitle. The subtitle, I'm going to pop that in now, which is jewellery as precious as you. That is the nice little tagline that I've chosen for this one. And I think I'm going to just keep it one level. I quite like that. We're going to center it. I always think that's a good place to start with it. Now, with Canva, you do not have, I want to stop and say this quickly, with Canva, you do not have the same capabilities that you would with a different design program, such as Adobe Illustrator, for instance. So I actually used Adobe Illustrator. Where is it? I got a business card here. Yeah. I used Adobe Illustrator for my personal logo, the Words by ER Wear logo. I use it personally. I've just been getting into using it recently, and I really like it. I much prefer it to Canva. However, I know that it is expensive, and Canva is a lot more affordable, and it is a lot more user-friendly, hence why I'm doing this whole video on Canva, because I think I started with Canva logos. They are great. They are a really great place to start. You can create some really high-class looking logos on there. You just aren't going to have the same flexibility that you have with Adobe InDesign or Adobe Illustrator. There is nothing wrong with that, because it could still work really well for your brand, but if you're going to do something a bit more intricate and detailed, you probably are going to want to look into something else. However, not everyone has the capabilities to do that, which is why I recommend you all start with Canva, because Canva is really good. It's really cheap, it's really affordable, it's very user friendly. There are so many different pre-made templates you can already use in there, so I would highly recommend using it for logo design and for a bunch of other stuff as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. It is not the same as Adobe Illustrator by any means, and I'm not a pro with any of them, but I'm just sharing what I know and what I found to work. Let's get into this bit here. So what did I choose? Lost Treasure Code. Okay, this is where, so in Adobe Illustrator and stuff, you will be able to start adjusting things here. Now you can't, what I mean by that is you can adjust text, you can adjust a whole bunch of stuff to create custom effects and different things in Adobe Illustrator. Everything is changeable in Adobe Illustrator. However, we are not in Adobe Illustrator, we are in Canva, so your flexibility is going to be less. It's not going to be the same professional looking logo that you might imagine, but it can still be a really great choice. So there are a couple of different things we can do with this, and I've actually got a couple different ideas already. I'm quite liking this lengthways. Look, I'm going to try and find, where's the middle? There. I love the Canva's autographic thingamajiggy. Anyway, I'm going to start with this. I really like this to begin with. And the next thing I'm going to do is I really want to incorporate a seashell into it, obviously. I think that's probably obvious enough at this point. But I'm just looking at this and going, where can I incorporate a seashell? Because there's got to be a way to do it somewhere. And obviously the first thing is to actually put the seashell over a letter. So I'm thinking maybe over the letter A. If we were in a different design platform, there would be a load of ways to incorporate it. With this, you are slightly limited, but that's not necessarily a problem. It can be a good thing. And as I said, I want to stick with Canva for this one, because Adobe Illustrator is very difficult to use. It's not user-friendly. Okay, we are going to jump into the Elements tab, and I'm going to grab a couple different options for shells. So I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, so I've grabbed a couple of different shells. I'm really liking the watercolour kind of style, and I don't think all of these are going to work. I don't want to overcrowd it. I think I'm just going to go with like 1 or 2 shells, but I'm going to keep all of them. And the reason why is I'm going to keep them and use them for other things. So these graphics here, all of these, I'm going to use them to create a background wallpaper that we can use for social media graphics and all of these different things in the future, and I will explain why in a little bit. But for now, we are going to just grab a couple of these and start inserting them into our lovely design. I'm going to try and find where I can put them. Also, we're going to just give a little try with some different colours over the top, because we do not want to be sticking with the same one. You can do an outline. It doesn't look massively professional, but sometimes it still has a really nice effect, so it does depend on what you're looking for in what you're doing. Now I'm actually going to go with that and change this to this. I quite like that, but I don't think it's still not quite hitting the spot for me, so I'm going to keep playing around with this until we find something that does. The contrast is very low on all of these, so I might actually end up darkening this pink to create something a little bit more adjustable. that still works, but it is a different colour, and I am quite liking this. Yeah, I think we might end up keeping that darker colour actually, because the contrast is a lot higher, which is really important, that we actually keep that contrast. So I think we are going to go for this one here. I'm going to go into the effects, and we're just going to press none like that. Okay, I'm really liking this so far. So playing around with the colours does make a massive difference. I'm going to get rid of the blue though, because I think 3 colours is a little bit too much. So we're going to go with the yellow for now. Okay, let's see where we can pop in a shell. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I have ended up with kind of a whole thing. Okay, we have Lost Treasure Cove right here. We have the thing. I kind of love it, kind of not sure about it. That's kind of where we're feeling at the minute. But anyway, that is kind of like the basics of designing this kind of thing. I think we're going to have to come back for a part 2 for the rest of the actual logo design. But what I would do here is literally grab this a little bit here, duplicate it, and I will show you now. Duplicate what you're doing and drag it down to the next page, because you're going to want to adjust the colour on all of them. So drag it down to each one and just start adjusting the colour until you find something that you really like and really enjoy. So I'm not sure whether we're going to change the colour of the shell. I kind of like the shell's colour, but we can adjust it if we want to. We're going to go here with the colour of the font. We're going to go to this colour, and with the font, where is the font adjustment? Right here, there we go, effects. We're going to change the colour of that to something that I prefer, just a little bit more. I'm not sure if we're going to go yellow or not. No, we're going to go blue with both of these, so that we've got them nice and easy. Perfection. We can also adjust this one to a blue if we wanted, but I'm not a big fan of this. I much prefer the dark pink for this one. So yes, that is kind of a basic logo. I think you kind of get the idea from that stuff can be adjusted. It kind of gives you an insight into Canva. So I hope this is at least slightly helpful to you guys, and there will be more videos like this coming soon. Do not worry. But yeah, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was somewhat of a help to you, and yeah, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, click the notification thingamajiggy, and check out the Exodus Entrepreneurs podcast. We have new videos coming out, new episodes coming out every other week. We're also looking for people to interview, so if you're a young Christian or entrepreneur, give us an email. We are info@exodusentrepreneurs.com, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.